Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating story all about where our creativity really comes from and, the secrets we don't even know we're keeping from ourselves. Have you ever felt that way? It's like you're just a collection of other people's thoughts. Well, that's the heart of the problem for our main character, a writer who feels like a total fraud. This feeling, this sense of being completely unoriginal, it's what kicks off a pretty desperate search for inspiration. So, this is the journey we're about to go on. It all starts with what seems like a simple goal: just finish a book. But it ends up unraveling a life-changing truth that's been buried for decades. So, let's get into how it all began. All right, so first we meet Ivy. She's a 33-year-old writer, and she's not just stuck. The story calls it a towering mental barricade. I mean, she is completely and totally walled off from her own creative spark. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. Her dad, who's her only family, is dying of cancer. And he stopped asking her about her dating life or anything else. All his hope is now focused on this novel. It's become his last wish, a legacy for her. So every blank page just heaps on this crushing, awful guilt. And this really shows you the two sides of Ivy's world, right? On one hand, you've got the dream, the finished novel, making her dad proud, leaving a legacy. But then there's the harsh reality. She's paralyzed, she's drowning in guilt, and she is in a state of, quote, idea starvation. It's this gap between what she wants and where she is that pushes her to do something, well, something pretty drastic. So, in the middle of the night, fueled by desperation, she's just doom-scrolling on Reddit, and that's when she finds it. A very, very strange ad.
Now, on the surface, this sounds amazing, right? A writer's group, people to help her get inspired. It's exactly what she thinks she needs. But when she gets a reply, well, there's an immediate kind of giant red flag.
Exactly. 11 o'clock at night for a writing club? It's just weird, and it definitely sets off all kinds of alarm bells for Ivy. She's hesitant, but honestly, that blinking cursor on her blank screen is a pretty powerful motivator.
So, her desperation wins out over her gut feeling. And what's really fascinating here is a little detail from the story. Ivy has this recurring nightmare about a car crash. She's always the driver and her passenger always dies. It's this awful image she just pushes away. Now, you're going to want to remember that detail. So Ivy shows up at this packed cafe and spots them, 3 people all in matching red hoodies. She sits down, ready to talk about plot and characters, but what happens next is something else entirely.
Out of nowhere, one of the members, Valerie, just says this. It's this super detailed, super violent backstory, and she says it while just staring blankly at some guy walking down the street. Ivy is, as you can imagine, totally lost.
And then the other reader, a guy named Adrian, does the exact same thing. He murmurs this whole tragic story about a fire and guilt and redemption, but he's not looking at anyone. In fact, he seems to be looking right through Ivy.
Finally, the guy with the laptop, Braxton, explains what's going on. This isn't a club where they read books. Valerie and Adrian, they're the readers, all right? But they read people. They can literally see their life stories, their pasts, their deepest secrets. And Braxton's job? He just writes it all down.
And this is the question Ivy asks right before her entire world changes. She's still trying to make sense of it all, thinking they're just, really good at making stuff up. She even says something like, "I thought you meant you read books." She has no idea they're about to read her. And this is the moment. Valerie stops looking at the street. Her eyes kind of glaze over and her focus shifts. It's not on Ivy anymore. It's through her. It's as if Ivy just became invisible.
Valerie starts talking, and she's telling a story. Ivy's story. She lays out the details of the car crash, the guilt she's carried since she was a little kid, the exact same nightmare that has haunted Ivy her entire life. I mean, can you even imagine the shock? Ivy's just stammering, trying to figure out how this total stranger could possibly know her deepest, darkest secret. But Valerie's not done. Oh no, the story she's reading goes way beyond anything Ivy herself even remembers.
And there's the first bombshell. The one event that has defined Ivy's entire life. The source of all that guilt and all those nightmares, it wasn't some random tragedy.
Then comes the next layer, and it's terrifying. Her mom wasn't just out for a drive.
She was running, fleeing with her 5-year-old daughter from something or someone.
And there it is. The truth. The crash was deliberate. It was murder. And the person responsible was her real father. A man Ivy has absolutely no memory of.
And then, the final soul-crushing piece of the puzzle clicks into place. The man she calls Dad, the kind, loving man who's dying in a hospital bed, he isn't her biological father at all. He was her mom's boyfriend who pulled a 5-year-old Ivy from the wreck and raised her as his own. Her entire identity is built on a memory she never even had.
Her head is just spinning. Braxton confirms it. Their gift, their ability, it's all real. He even apologizes for how brutally she had to find out. But the truth is out there now, and absolutely everything has changed. As Ivy gets up to leave, just completely shattered, Adrian says this to her. And in that one moment, you can feel the entire focus shift. The desperate writer, who walked in here looking for a made-up story, has just been handed the most important story in the world. Her own.
So Ivy went searching for a story to write, but what she found was a story she had to live. And it leaves us with this really powerful question, not just for her, but for all of us. To what extent does our ability to build our future really depend on having the courage to face our past? Maybe, just maybe, the greatest story we'll ever tell is the one we first have to uncover inside ourselves.